All right, welcome to the next lesson. We are going to dive into actually building out the page. And I realized after the last lesson that I did, I probably should have spent a little bit more time talking about AI and talking about Claude. This is a new part of building, recording this at the end of 2025, so into 2026 in the future. I absolutely love Claude in Anthropic, and I'm going to kind of guide you through how I've created this. I'm going to drop the instructions. So essentially what I've done is I've created a project for my brand. Okay. And I'm going to show you how I've done this. And I think this is important before you build funnels so that you can get good copy. And I'm going to put my prompt down below here, but you have to understand this is going to be more like a template because this is mine, right? Like it's using my words and, or my brand name, but you could replace that with yours. But there's some things that you need to do. You need to teach it about you. So I have a strategy document. I'm not going to give you that because it's private. My speaking style. This is probably the most important thing. So here's what I've done. I want Claude to sound just like the way that I talk. I don't want Claude to take emails that I've written or that AI has written for me and record, and try to build off of that. What I wanted to do is I wanted to write emails the same way that I talk to a human being like I'm talking to you now. So what I did is I have a very small YouTube channel, but I have some videos on there that I think are very good. I just took the transcripts and I created a document essentially of all of those transcripts. And this is my speaking style. And so what you'll see when you look at the instructions, essentially what I'm doing is I'm telling it to use the videos as basically my style. Essentially. So it's very easy to train Claude to speak like you. And then the strategy document that you create should be all about your offer, your brand, your target audience, unique mechanism that you offer, all the things that we cover in offer mastery. You should build a document, a master document of that, and put that into this document. And that's the files that essentially that I upload. And then from there, it becomes the prompt. So for this specific prompt, it was very simple. I said, I'm creating a funnel for a lead magnet called Funnel Building Mastery. This is actually a portion of Elite Marketer Academy. Now, the reason that I'm saying this is because in my files that I've uploaded, my strategy doc, I talk about Elite Marketer Academy. That's my offer. Okay, that's part of that document. So that's why I reference it. That I'm going to splinter out into a lead magnet. I need help writing effective opt-in page copy. This is going to be a free masterclass. It gives a high-level overview of the components of becoming a master funnel builder. After they opt in, they'll see a VSL page. We'll write that script out next. But for now, I need the opt-in page copy, good headline, sub-headline, and 5 core bullets of the benefits they'll get out of the masterclass. Please ask if you need clarity. Okay, so then it asked me some questions, and then I responded to those questions. And target audience, pain point, unique mechanism, you can see the questions that it's asking, proof element, and then I just answered very quickly what those were. I always ask the question, or I always leave this, please ask if you need clarity. This is a little copywriting tip with Claude. And then it gave me, here's the copy. Now, I may initially just copy and paste and build this out. And then what I'll do is I'll come back and I'll say, okay, is this really what I want to say? I like to see it on the page. This is how I work. Okay, so this is essentially what I'm going to be doing. So let's get started. Okay, so I'm going to create from blank and we're just going to get started. So we took care of the setup in the first video. We're starting from scratch. Normally what I would do to speed this process up is I would use an existing page that I already have, but I want you guys to kind of work with me through this process. I want you to see kind of what I think about. And this isn't going to be super fancy. It's just me kind of going through this process. Now in Elite360, we do have AI and you can use those types of things, but I don't do that. The only AI portion that I use is for Claude, is for the copywriting. Okay. Does it always produce the best copy? No. Okay. But it gets me moving so much faster. I don't know if you've ever gotten the blank, the page of the blank stare of death, right? Where you're just kind of staring at your screen and you don't know what to write. You know what you want to say, but you just can't get it out. That's why I love AI, because it gets things moving so much faster. Okay. So I'm going to start with, I'm just going to go. This is my kind of my basic format. So I start with my header and these are just my branding styles. So I'm going to add my logo in here and okay, I'm going to make this much smaller. Make this padding much smaller. This is just my logo and branding at the top of the page. I like to work in sections. You don't need to be building completely different sections with Elite360. What you can do is you can have different sizes based on, if you want that to be smaller, let's say on mobile, what I might do is you can see the little drop down here. This is for the mobile size. Maybe I want this one to be only 110, right? So it's even smaller on mobile. And you can do the same thing with like the padding and whatnot. Maybe I want this to be a little smaller on mobile. So I might do 2 and 2. So I can continue to keep the branding, but you see how it makes it sort of mobile friendly. It doesn't impact the desktop page though, which is kind of nice. This comes to strategy. I'm going to talk about some of the technical sides of building funnels as well. Page speed is really important. And what I want you to notice here is that this image, okay, I'm going to pull this image up just so you can see this. See how that's a small image? What I see a mistake that a lot of people make is they'll take this, whatever image that their graphic designer gave them, which is like 1920, pixels wide, and they load that up as their logo, and then they put the numbers in down here to make it smaller. The larger the image, the longer the page loads. So just keep that in mind. It's probably one of the biggest contributors to slowing down a page. Okay. In terms of if you go back and you watch kind of the funnel psychology, most important thing that people see, the first thing that they hit that page, remember that 5-second rule that I talked about? Within 5 seconds, they need to know what this is about and who it's for. So I'm going to drop a headline, but before I do that, I'm going to give the page my typography. So my brand uses Poppins, and I just use Poppins. I like it. It's clean. It's simple. The text and link colors are totally fine. So I'm just going to go with that. And that way I don't have to go and change the font every time. So just come in. So it's already Poppins. And now I'm just going to copy and paste. Okay. I might take out the M dash there. All right. I'm just going to leave this how it is. That's the headline. We'll mess around with it in a second. Then I'm going to add a subheadline. Okay. Doesn't look perfect. Doesn't look great. I'm going to these lines a little closer together. Bring this size up a little bit, get it on 2 lines. All right, so let's look at the copy. So your funnel's bleeding money and you don't even know it yet. Watch this free masterclass and discover the exact funnel framework I use to scale brands past 100 million so you can finally stop wasting ad spend and start converting like the top 1%. Okay, cool. So this is going to be more than just a lead magnet about the structural side of building a funnel. Right. So I'm going to build into this some things that are inside of my training system. And the reason for this, and this is important for me to point out, because inside my Elite Marketer Academy, there's a lot more, right? There's a lot more context. So there's, offer strategy, and there's, conversions optimization, and, paid at traffic mastery, and all these different things. So this is a lead magnet that's essentially going to be a video that teaches people kind of a 30,000 foot view of the type of funnel that they essentially need to build in order to have a solid ecosystem. So that's where this is going to come from. And it's going to be about funnels specifically, but I'm going to be dripping in there different things about why they need more than just a funnel, right? So what I'm doing here is it's called anchoring. Right? Your funnel's bleeding money. So they know it's about funnels. And then we're going to talk about the exact funnel framework. So they know it's about funnels. They can see that within 5 seconds of coming here. So I've accomplished the 5-second rule. And now what I want to do is I'm going to drop in 2 rows. This is just kind of the standard kind of process that I use. And I'm going to use a bulleted list on this side. And I'm going to put an image on this side. So here's my bulleted list. Remember, 5 core benefits. Inside this training, you'll discover. So let's put a little... That works. And these I'm going to have to do one by one because don't worry, I'll make it look good here in a second. So a little bit of page design, right? We want to make sure that we have a button before the scroll. All right. And in order to do that, I'm going to need to shrink this down a little bit. Okay, so how am I going to do that? Well, if I come over here and I change my line height, let's say I just want my line height to be 1.1 EM, and then the line spacing. This is the line item spacing between the icons, essentially. I'm going to pull this out a little bit, and then let me copy that on there. That's going to be didn't give me another line. I'm going to just use that. Let's just drop that right there. Okay, and then I'm going to put the button right there. So you guys may remember kind of my styling concepts from some other stuff that I've done in some of the examples that I gave you. I'm not a big believer in like massively off-brand colors unless it really calls for it, unless there's a lot of the same color. But I can just use a very simple, I'm just going to go with this simple blue color. I'm going to go ahead and make this, I'm going to fill the width here. And here's a little tip inside of Elite360. If you use Elite360 or high level, I'm going to add a border. And then I'm going to change the border color to transparent. And then I'm going to change the radius to 10. And that gives it the round corners. Okay. And I'm going to change the call to action, right, to exactly what the goal of the page is, which is to watch the masterclass. I'm going to watch the masterclass. Okay. And let's change the font a little bit. Let's make that a little bigger so it really stands out. And I'm going to make it a little thicker, and let's give it a little, so when they hover over it, go to animations, give it a little elevation. And then we're going to have it, the action of this is going to open up the pop-up, because I'm going to put the form inside of a pop-up. We'll cover that in a second. Okay. And then I'll add my footer and stuff. I actually didn't have a saved footer template, but that's okay. I'm gonna go ahead and leave it at that. A little space between these things here. All right, I'm not gonna do the image and stuff right now. Essentially what I would try to do is I would try to pick an image, create an image that works and kind of encapsulates this idea. Maybe your funnel is bleeding money, something like that, or something to do with funnels. So that's kind of the process that I would go through with that. SEO. All right. So this is important, and you want your page to have some things here. So a title, right? So I would do funnel building mastery masterclass. I'll just take that, throw it in the description for a social image. The social image is like what's shared. Do I have a funnel? Maybe not. If not, I'll just use my favicon, right? Then it gives it an image. And that's all I'm going to use for that. That way, at least it's shared. Okay. So I'll publish that. Now, we're not done. That's the desktop version. Big mistake that a lot of people make is they don't optimize it for mobile. So just like we optimized the first section, now notice what we need to do here. Okay. So in this, obviously won't work. The good thing is when I adjust this, see how it's only selected for mobile? It's not going to impact the desktop version. Watch. See how it doesn't impact that? So you don't need to create entirely different sections for mobile. You can just adjust the sizing. I'm also going to shrink down how far away that is from the header. So how that moved it up. But notice it doesn't do it on desktop. Again, I can't stress that enough. Okay, this is a little too big. So let's make this maybe size 18, just to shrink it down a little bit. And I'm going to make this 1.1. All right. And I am going to duplicate this, bring this up here. Now, because I duplicated it, it's going to show on both. I don't want a button right there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select this row. That's what the blue is. Go over to styles. You see how it's got desktop and mobile selected? When I uncheck that, watch what happens. See how it doesn't appear there? And in fact, I'm going to make this a little closer on desktop just to pull that up. Just to pull this up a little bit, right? When I'm looking at this on desktop, I want that button to be before the scroll. Really important, right? As it is, as you can see on my screen right now. Okay. And then obviously on mobile, now I've got a button above the scroll. Now what we need to adjust is this is displayed. Let's make this a little smaller. Be 0. Again, this is only impacting the mobile layout, but you see how it's already becoming a little bit more mobile friendly? This is what's really important. Now, in terms of the sizing of this, that's probably okay. I might make this size. It's probably fine. I think that's fine for mobile. Everything else looks solid. The only thing that I might do is I might clone this, bring this up here, because it's probably going to be like a hero kind of image. And then what I'll do is just make this one's going to only be visible on mobile, and this one is going to be the desktop one. So see how it disappeared? Now I've got a mobile optimized page, and that's pretty much it. I just want to make sure that that row wasn't being displayed on desktop. Okay, we're good. Cool. Okay. All right. So that's that. Let me go over and I'm going to show you page speed. So I use this tool called GTMetrics. I don't do the paid version because I'm not testing multiple pages at a time. If you want to test like lots of pages every day, you're going to probably need to like register for free, and then maybe they charge you for it. I don't know. But I just do this once in a while. And essentially what it's going to do is going to analyze the page, and it's going to give me my score. And then when it gives me my score, it's going to show me. So I'll wait for that to load, and then we'll come back. Okay, so it came back with a B. Anything less than a B, and I'd be a little concerned. What I'm wondering about, and I've got to log in, is why. I would want this to be an A. It should be an A for a page that small. My guess is it's most likely this, right? If I open that in a new tab, it's not that big of an image, but I'm assuming that's probably what it is. It's the image that's on there. But a B is fine. For that type of page, I mean, it's not going to take a lot of time at all to load. It's perfectly fine. If you get starting into like the C, D, especially below a C, you're something is majorly wrong. You've got way too many images on the page or something like that. But this is important. So I would make sure you take a look at your page speed. Other than that, the opt-in page is ready to go. I'm not going to worry so much about the copy and stuff right now. I'm going to worry more about, getting the pages set up, and then we'll go from there. All right. I'll see you in the next training.